Hello everyone and welcome to the video. Something a bit different for people today. We're going to be having a quick look at the Engage Society ferry vans, VIX Ferry vans, and here they are coming round in a train with other long wheelbase vans. So you've got the quite old Graham Farish VBAs, I think they are. You've got some VGAs which were even longer wheelbase wagons, and then you've got the ferry vans. So it's worth pointing out that because they're long wheelbase wagons, if you were to run them over a normal set of points, you would get a bit of movement. They would often fall down and jump around a bit, but on my outer loop I've actually put some small pieces of plasticard in the gaps, and this just stops that from happening. This is actually really for the pacers, which also kind of jump down a bit. It's because when they go through the frog gap, the kind of plastic base is a little bit lower than it really needs to be to accommodate old wheels, really. But anyway, that's just a side note, really. So first of all, the wagons, the ferry vans themselves, were from the Engage Society. Come in a box like this, a nice red box, similar to the box that the Hunslet shunter comes in. They are BR diagram 1/227. Now they have got a serial number, but I'm not sure which serial number relates to which wagon now, to be honest, because I've just taken them all out of the box a while ago. So let's just take them off the track and have a look. So here we are, one in rail freight livery. Hopefully the camera's picking it up okay. This is just the kind of red and grey, very attractive rail freight livery. Hopefully you can see, but the handles on the sliding door, the long sliding door, are very nice relief on those. Also, what I thought was very good were the steps at the end of the wagon, which probably would have been for a shunter to stand on whilst manoeuvres were being carried out. And loads of underframe detail, which you don't really see obviously, but it's there. You see a bit of the more side underframe obviously as it's going along. So yeah, nice detail, nice livery application. Everything about it is very good. The only downside to this wagon, to this van, that lots of people have reported, is the running quality. And that's because the wheels are not particularly free rolling. They're also a bit noisy on the track, which I can probably demonstrate in a moment. So yeah, that's rail freight red and grey one. Not in the train that just came into view, but in a siding. I've also got this one here in the very attractive Satlink livery, which was signals and telecoms. So it's basically for permanent way engineers, trains. I think it was late 80s, early 90s, they painted up some of their stock in this livery. So after it had been finished in use on train ferries, some of them got repurposed. Again, this one is it's not, because it's such a long wheelbase, it doesn't actually run very nicely. I don't know if I can demonstrate that bit. I'll perhaps run it over the three-way points in a minute to show what I mean. Okay, so now we're just going to show you how it performs going over a set of three-way points and a double slip, and then I'll just put it into the head shunt there. So this is not to have a go at Sonic, who produced the model, or for the Engage Society. This is a problem you'd get with all long wheelbase wagons. They do jump around in the points, and obviously if you were to have very tight corners, tight curves, you would also maybe experience some problems with derailing, buffer lock and that kind of thing. So my Class 08 shunter is going to just push it backwards. Let's just release the brake. Short whistle in case any people are in the way. So in the train there's also a Queen Mary brake van, which I think was Engage Society as well, but although it is in the Bachmann main Graham Farish range. So it actually took the three-way point very nicely. Well, I take it all back, it's actually taken all that track work very nicely. I think if I just stop it there, if I bring it back, just see how it performs. I think probably if it went over the points onto the main, it would jump around a little bit more. But anyway, evidently the double slip and the three-way point, it seems to be taking it okay. Stayed on the track. It's not the quietest runner, but that's to do with the wheels, you know, not being free moving. But overall, the Satlink wagon, which is the only one that needs to come in these sidings here, passed the test really. It's okay to be shunted around, you know, with other departmental wagons, and hopefully more Satlink ones in the future. There is a Pico Satlink wagon there, some kind of tube wagon. I'm not sure how accurate it is, to be honest, but anyway, nice livery. And I have got another Satlink GUV as well, but that's in a box somewhere at the minute, which I can't put my hands on. So anyway, it's passed my very little test. This is the worst piece of track work I've got, because the three-way point is a bit tricky, and if I'm honest, it's not really laid as flat as I could have done. The double slip is not bad actually, that most things seem to get over that okay. So yeah, I think it's probably passed my own test. Now I don't actually have any small radius points. I've got some not particularly well laid medium radius ones in the fiddle yard around the back of the layout, but none of the ferry wagons in my long van train here that I was just running have come off the track so far. Okay, so I've gone off topic a little bit, but anyway, so basically to buy these wagons you have to be a member of the Engage Society. You can find the details on their website if you just search for it. They've got a shop which has got various different kits, and they also produce some ready to run models, including the Hunslet Shunter, which is a very nice model. Comes with DCC and a very small stairlie fitted to it, which I'd thoroughly recommend for people that want an industrial layout. So here's a different livery. This is in the BR bulk site livery, but it's got the arrows of indecision, the corporate BR logo, and it says "Through to the Continent" by British Rail. And these wagons ran all over Europe, and apparently one even made it to Iraq, and probably other places as well in the Middle East, Turkey, Syria, etc. Probably there's a few rare photographs around. So what you can do, if I can try and demonstrate this, the wheels on this one are not too bad in terms of free running, and that's actually because what I'd already done prior to this video is taken the wheels out. You can just put your fingernail in and just pop them out, but obviously be very careful because there's a lot of, you know, fine details on the underframe, so that you might not pick it up, but there are little brake blocks, and if they're too close they can hit the wheels, normally the actual flanges on the wheels, so you might just want to put your fingernail in or get a tiny screwdriver, and you can bend the wheel blocks out ever so slightly, but clearly you need to be careful because it's very thin plastic. What some other people have done, which I may try if I get fed up with the noise, because they're not free running. You need quite a heavy loco, especially if you're going to run it in a long van train like I've just been doing. I mean, that's not particularly prototypical. It will probably they'll be running in a shorter speed link train, so it probably won't make any difference. But what some people have done is actually kind of cut away the brake blocks. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up really, but if you find the brake block, you can kind of very carefully slice a bit off, and that will make a difference. It will stop them interfering with the wheel flanges, and then hopefully they'll run a lot better. Other people as well have just reported that running them in helps, and should have got this out beforehand, but if you've got a graphite pencil, or you've got, better still, if you've got powdered graphite that you can use for lubrication, I've got this pencil here, it's a 9B, but anyway, you can just get a bit of this graphite off the end of the pencil. You'd only obviously need a very tiny amount, and you can actually use it on the pinpoints of the axles, and that will just help them run a bit freer. I mean, it's not necessarily recommended, but some people also just put standard light oil on the axle ends, although some people don't like that because it can damage the plastic over time, apparently, although I've not personally seen that. So there are things you can do to get them to run a bit freer and enjoy them better, and also have them quieter. So I'm just going to put this one back in train in a minute, put the wheels back on, obviously it will help. So as you can see, I've got two in this rail freight livery. You can also get a Dutch one, and you can get rail freight ones which were recoded for departmental use, and also you can get another bauxite one like this, but you can get it without the corporate double arrows on for earlier use. So if you've got a layout kind of in the late 60s and you wanted the very earlier version, you can get that. And you can get one with nothing at all written on the sliding door, actually no logo, as some apparently did operate in that way. It would have been nice to see the kind of olive end parts one, which was used for carrying locomotive and rolling stock spare parts around in the western region. That would be a good one perhaps for the Engage Society to do next, because I noticed that other manufacturers in 00 have brought that out. But there's a good range, and also what's good is I've got two wagons here that are the same livery, but they have actually got different running numbers. I mean, clearly it's tiny, so you can't see it, but if you're into taking photos of your models, it's nice, to be able to see that they are different running numbers. So well done to the Engage Society and Sonic for making that kind of thing available to Engage modelers. Right, one thing that I forgot to mention is that you get this leaflet in here as well, some information, and also about where the different brake pipes go if you want to fit those. Like everything now really, they've got NEM sockets, so you can take the couplings off and put different ones on. And then in this plastic bag, attached to a sprue, you've got very, very fine brake pipes and coupling hooks. So especially if you wanted it on the end of a train in a fixed formation, it would be an idea. If you're just going to run them in random positions within different trains you make up, probably not a good idea, but it's good they're included. I'll probably put the coupling hooks on, although they've obviously got their own, they've got Rapido couplings on at the minute as well, but yeah, I might look into that. But at least it's there for modelers that want to add that kind of detail to the end of the train. And you could also add a tail lamp as well. Don't know if anyone makes the battery powered kind of more modern flashing tail lights, but if I just reach and get this VGA wagon from around the back, you can see that you can get little lights to stick on the end. I mean, it's ever so marginally over scale. It's not a working light, but you know, it makes the train look a little bit better. And if you've got something like that, and I think I can show you it. No, the one I found is actually a GWR one, but this same company, Springside Models, they make non-working lamps. You can get ones both for putting on the front of steam locos, but also some tail lights as well, which are fairly cheap and quite useful, and just add a bit of realism really to your layout by sticking them onto the end of a wagon. Okay, so what I've done is I've put the wheels back on and put the ferry vans at the front of the train, so you can see them in operation with a Graham Farish Class 47 is just pulling them. It's a fairly heavy loco, and that's the only reason I selected it really. And off it goes. So you can see it's running quite nicely, and also you can see the VGA wagons are not jumping around in those points because they're the ones that have been adapted on the outer loop. So off it goes. So I'll just let it run all the way around. Hopefully none of the wagons will uncouple, and if they do, it won't be the fault of the ferry van. I can tell you it will be one of the older Farish VBAs probably. So we'll just bring it round. This time I'll stop it in front of the crossover, and I'll put it over the crossover actually, and you can compare the difference. So if I just slow it down a bit and stop it. So if I just stop it there for a second. Sorry, the camera's not particularly even. Let me just quickly change those points. And they have both changed successfully. So now we can see what happens. I'll take it quite slowly. So you'll see the difference when it runs on the inner loop. You'll see the wagons will jump around a lot more, not necessarily on the first set of points it gets to, but on these other ones here. Although actually, ferry vans did very well, and it was more the VGAs. But overall I'm quite pleased with that, so maybe I'm being too fussy, maybe long wheelbase wagons can run on the inner loop. Just to tempt fate, we'll try going over the crossover now with a bit more speed. And they're all behaving. So there we go. That's kind of a bit of a performance test for them, which they've passed. So anyway, overall, very nice detail, nice livery application, good variety of liveries and running numbers available, and the only thing really which detracts is the running qualities. They are quite noisy, and obviously, as I've already mentioned, the wheels are not particularly free turning, but once you've remedied that and given them a good run in, then hopefully they'll be okay. I mean, I might buy another one in the future. I was tempted by the Dutch one. But yeah, then you probably wouldn't see a block train of them. It was probably more common to just see a few of them in the southern region anyway, going to freight yards or obviously mixed in with Speedlink trains, and then later on departmental. And I think Ministry of Defence as well used them. So anyway, well done Engage Society, and I hope that was a useful video for everyone.